You know what I really hate? I hate when somebody quits before you have a chance to fire them. You know what I mean? When they really deserve it. Earlier this afternoon, Eliot Spitzer, the hypocritical, unethical, lowlife slug, resigned as governor of New York.
From those to whom much is given, much is expected. I have been given much. The love of my family, the faith and trust of the people of New York, and the chance to lead the state. I am deeply sorry that I did not live up to what was expected of me. There is much more to be done, and I cannot allow my private failings to disrupt the people's work.
Holy cow, does she look like she wants to stab him to death? Maybe it's just me. I'm sorry. Here's the point tonight. Eliot Spitzer had to resign for paying for sex with hookers, and which is weird. On his way out, he managed to screw the people of New York as well. Isn't it great? Where's my $4,000? Here's how I got there. Once the news of Spitzer's connection to a prostitution ring came out Monday, just about everybody expected him to, resign that day. Be a smart thing to do, but he didn't. And then the next 2 days, he basically held the state hostage, all but he couldn't get any work done, which is kind of a good thing in some ways, because the governor and his lawyers were reportedly wheeling and dealing. They were negotiating the terms of his resignation. What? As of right now, speculation suggests that Spitzer's resignation was conditional on him receiving no jail time and keeping his license to practice law. The U.S. Attorney for New York denies any such arrangement, but forgive me for being just a wee bit cynical. I think I've seen this movie someplace before. I think it's about time we start making examples out of people like Eliot Spitzer. Scum like him, they think they can get away with this crap because they do get away with this crap over and over and over again. The last thing we need is now an attorney who we know is dirty, knowing he can break the law and manipulate the system to get what he wants. If this guy was found guilty, Spitzer should go to jail. He should be stripped of his license to practice law in New York and every place else. Tonight, here is what you need to know. Unfortunately, we live in today's America. Spitzer is probably going to keep his license. His wife will stay with him for some unknown reason. He'll write a book. He'll make the talk show rounds. He'll get richer. Everybody will forget, and everybody will say, oh, but he was abused as a kid, or whatever it is. And it's tragic because Eliot Spitzer didn't just betray his wife and his family and put their lives at stake. He betrayed the public trust and put our lives at stake, and for that, he deserves no mercy. Strangely, I heard a report today that said the Justice Department says that they consider Spitzer's mere resignation a victory. Well, maybe a victory for the Justice Department, but I don't think it's a victory for justice. James Stradisco, he is a New York Assembly minority leader. Hello, James. You're actually the steamroller guy, right? I mean, you're the guy who Spitzer said, I'm going to be like a steamroller over you and people like you, right?
It was all downhill after that conversation with me, Glenn, and it's good to be with you. I wish we were here under better circumstances.
Yeah, well, it's an honor to meet somebody that Spitzer said that to. Jail time or no jail time for this guy?
Well, before I became a legislator, I was an educator. I wasn't an attorney, so I don't know. I'm not privy to exactly what the negotiations were all about. But I can tell you this, this has been a tragedy not only for Eliot Spitzer and for his family, but for the entire state of New York. You're absolutely right. We've been in gridlock right now, and we're kind of bittersweet about the fact that he has called it quits because now we can move forth. When one door closes, another door opens. We got Lieutenant Governor Patterson who's going to take over, and we think he can do a much better job.
Really? Isn't this the guy who said that all cops should... When they're shooting, they shouldn't shoot to kill. They should aim for the criminal's hands or feet.
Yeah, he was way off base on that, and he's way off base on a lot of issues. The difference between him and Eliot Spitzer is he knows how to negotiate and compromise. It's not his way or the highway. He doesn't involve himself in the politics that Eliot Spitzer involved himself with, so we'll have better communications. We'll still have to debate him, though.
Have we asked him if he likes hookers?
We haven't asked that question.
We probably
I'll leave that up to you.
I don't think he'll come on if he knows I'm going to ask that question. We won't tell him.
You will.
Let me ask you this this question. It came out that Eliot Spitzer didn't like to wear condoms with prostitutes. Do you think he knew about the gigantic New York program that gave millions of condoms away for free every year?
Well, I think this is why this whole situation is so difficult for Eliot Spitzer. His whole policy was ethics reform. He based his administration on at the highest level of ethics reform. And as you can see, he failed miserably. He broke that contract. He breached it with the people of New York State, not only ethically, but allegedly illegally in many ways.
James.
So I don't think anybody could sustain this job with what he's done, but especially Eliot Spitzer. He knows he has done something wrong. I think this indicates that he has a problem emotionally and psychologically. And that's something he's got to deal with.
If he keeps his law license, has justice been served?
I don't think so. I think the law enforcement people and the FBI should prosecute, and they know he broke the law, and maybe he can serve in some other ways, but not as a public servant or as an attorney. I think you're right on base with that.
Thank you very much, Assemblyman. Okay, now the governor has a security detail with him, and made up of New York State troopers. These men and women work for the state, the people of New York, not the governor. So my question this morning was, while Spitzer was having these meetings with chicks and halter tops and fishnets, did any of them say, I don't think that's an economic advisor? Is there any way that they didn't know what was going on? And if they didn't feel comfortable blowing the whistle while they were on the job, should they have resigned and upheld their oath to protect and serve New York citizens, the one who paid their salaries, not the hooker-loving governor? David Townsend is a New York State Assemblyman and former state trooper himself. David, I want you to know, I am a big fan of cops and troopers. I support them 110%. I'm not blaming them for this at all. But I am trying to figure out if an elected official is doing something illegal, don't they have the responsibility to arrest that person or blow the whistle on that person?
Well, most assuredly they would, if in fact they knew what the governor was doing was illegal, or if in fact they even knew what he was doing at that point. You've got that fine line between protection and privacy when it comes to officials that you're protecting.
Yeah, well, okay. So, but should they... Look, if somebody is having an affair with somebody, that is none of the Secret Service's business or the state troopers or whatever. It's a scumbag. I personally wouldn't want to give my life for that kind of person. I would just ask for a transfer. But, you know, hey, to each his own. That's private. But if you're going from city to city and somebody is coming up to the hotel room and they... is he just extraordinarily lucky with women? Is that what they were thinking?
Well, it's the governor. I'm sure they follow around TV stars like you, too.
No,
but,
no, they don't. They don't.
Okay.
TV stars.
But you'd have to say that they knew exactly that she was coming from New York to Washington or New York to Florida or wherever the heck they were going, and that's not part of their detail. They're there just to protect him from people attacking him and make sure that the perimeter of where he is staying and involved in is secure.
Sure.
And once the governor or anybody decides it's time to retire for the night, then you let him go. You don't go in the room and sleep with him. And you don't have any way to...
The state troopers...
Go ahead. You don't have any way to control...
I'm sorry.
Don't have any way to control where he's IMing, who he's calling on the phone, who he's doing it on the computer with, and... it's a fine line between the gentleman's privacy. And then again, too, he's the boss. And when he tells the trooper, get out of my way, I'm going to go down and have a couple of cocktails, you stay here, what's the trooper to do? Say, no, I'm going to go with you, Governor? And guess what? That trooper will be gone.
All right. Do you think that this kind of, though, adds to the arrogance of these politicians because they're getting away with it with cops in the hallway? I mean, they must, at some point, they must think, I'm going to do anything.
Yeah, but you got to understand, as I understand it, Glenn, that he was on the 9th floor in the 900 rooms, and the lady came down on the 8th floor in room 871. So maybe you ought to be looking at why he went down to the front desk and asked for a CD of Italian music as his escape out of 900 down to get back up to 800. There's something for you to look at.
I think he should have used Atlantic Starr's Secret Lover. Secret Lover.
Well, sure.
That's the CD he should have asked for. David, thank you
Well,
very
he
much.
said that,
I got to run. Thank you. We're in a political campaign with superdelegates. Let me introduce you to some of the superdelegates. 794 superdelegates who, as I figure, could decide this year's Democratic race have at least 6,000 times each more powerful of a voice than you do. Maybe it's time you meet some of these superdelegates. Tonight's mystery superdelegate was forced to endure private schools during his childhood before finally attending Princeton. After getting a perfect score on his law school exam, he went on to get a law degree at Harvard, which then he parlayed into a losing campaign for state attorney general. But that didn't let this man down. It didn't keep him down. No, years later he won that job, and then even a higher job. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for tonight's soon-to-be former superdelegate, Eliot Spitzer, perhaps better known as the governor, hypocritical, cheating scumbag that we all know and not love. Aren't you happy that people like him are 6,000 times more important than you are, at least to our political parties?